So this week we got to see Mafia 3. I personally loved what I saw, but there's this other chunk of the internet that seems to have absolutely despised Mafia 3. So in today's video I've decided to go ahead and bring forth those complaints and just merely talk about them rather than just giving my thoughts and trying to argue it. Because the reason I'm doing this is since so many people have misconceptions about this game and just don't understand what's going on in it, and I feel that if I brought some clarification to the table, this game would be positively received a bit more. I'm not saying I'm the big game changer here, but I'm just saying I want to speak my mind, and I hope you'll sit here and openly listen to me. So I'm just gonna go down a list of complaints and just talk about it. Let's start off with the first one, that Mafia 3 tends to betray what the Mafia series is all about being this Italian American climbing the ranks of the Mafia, living the good life, and then eventually having it all fall apart, and that's it. And Mafia 1 and 2 did this perfectly, and I was feeling that even though Hangar 13 could have played it safe and stuck with that Italian American theme and just did what the other companies did, I think it's a bold move and a good move to try something new. Instead of being a part of the Mafia, you're a part of the Black Mob, a guy who is trying to look for something to belong in and finally found something to belong in, and now everyone that he belonged to is dead and he is going to take it to the Mafia now. I personally think that idea is absolutely awesome, but a lot of people thought that this was just a Grand Theft Auto game now. People were assuming that Mafia 3 was just a Mafia 3 title and that this was a game that absolutely wasn't about the Mafia. This is also due to Hangar 13's mistakes. They should have revealed this game with a commentary over it and tried to show gameplay instead of relying on all these other press outlets to cover for them. Because now a lot of people are confused and it's relied on YouTubers such as myself as well as journalists to actually get what this game is about out there. It was kind of a sloppy move, but nonetheless I think over time it should fix itself. But yeah, that's number one, that people feel that this betrays Mafia because it's not about the Mafia, even though it is. The next one is one I can kind of agree with, and it's the car explosions. In Mafia 3 there's some ridiculous car explosions, like you see Lincoln Clay roll out of the car and he just skims a car and it blows up. Cars blow up everywhere in Mafia 3 it seems, and it's a tad unrealistic. I can see this being a complaint, especially because a lot of people are making Saints Row comparisons. Now I understand where people are coming from, but people need to remember that Saints Row is a game about swinging dildos and blowing people up in alien spaceships. So comparing it to Mafia 3 is kind of just not making sense. I get where people are coming from with the explosions, and I think they're a bit annoying too, but I think they'll tone it down. I mean, people think there is an absolute reason that they didn't say any type of part of the year in 2016 that this game is coming out. It has a lot to be worked on, and this is a change that they can absolutely make before the game launches. The next thing is the drift bar and getting points when you drive around. This is another huge misconception. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't get points for driving around in Mafia 3. Like, not at all. This isn't some street racing game. That bar you're seeing on the top is because you have a passenger that you were trying to interrogate, and through doing dangerous driving such as drifting, doing near misses, flying off jumps, you gradually scare the life out of the driver, and it's called drive like a madman. And when you drive like a madman, as the mode says, you get the information out of this person. That's where that bar comes from. People thought that this was some type of point system and that in Mafia 3 it just didn't make sense. They just thought it was a point system, but that's not the case. And like I said, I just want to clear up some misconceptions. The next issue is that Mafia 3 apparently doesn't continue Mafia 2's story. While this is most likely true, I feel that the ending to Mafia 2 could be solved in literally one cutscene with Vito. I won't spoil anything, trust me, I'm not a spoiler channel. I won't say a word, but all I'm saying is for those who have played through Mafia 2, you should know well and clear that the ending to Mafia 2 can be solved in a cutscene if what we think's happened, and it most likely did. I wish I could go into details, but I don't want to ruin Mafia 2 for anyone, and I don't want to push anyone away by talking about spoilers, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And it's obvious that Mafia 2 is going to play some type of role in Mafia 3, considering Vito, the main protagonist in Mafia 2, is back in Mafia 3. But that's one thing that kind of put me off, is that he somehow has gray hair, even though according to the way he was born, the timeline in Mafia 2 and then timeline into Mafia 3 went that he'd be in about his mid to late 40s. With that said, I know that people do tend to gray at different times, but I feel like from a video game perspective, he'd probably be a little bit of salt and pepper or something along those lines, not full gray old man looking kind of guy. Another issue that people have with Mafia 3 is that it looks like a generic clone. All it's doing is modernizing though, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to fanboy here by defending everything wrong with this game, but I feel like there's just so many misconceptions with this game, sadly, that I just need to step out and say something. Now, what do I mean by this? By this, I mean that the game was originally very generic in the sense where it was just a third-person cover shooter, and there was really no mobility or anything in Mafia 2. At least in Mafia 3, you know, you can do charge takedowns, you can do stealth takedowns in an easier fashion. You know, you can run up and gut someone with a knife, you can take cover easy. It's all smooth animations. In Mafia 2, it was very janky and generic. All Mafia 3 is doing is modernizing that formula. Not a bad thing. I'd rather it move forward than just stay the same, which is just a basic third-person cover shooter. Not to say that Mafia 3 is some type of innovative game when it comes to gameplay, because it's really not. It does look a lot like GTA, but is that really absolutely a bad thing when the shooting is like GTA? I mean, how many other third-person shooters are out there that kind of look like GTA? I mean, there's tons of them. It just happens, you know, you can't really separate yourself that much in video games anymore because there are so many being made and there's so many genres out there that can only be used. The final issue, and one that is quite controversial even though I tried to stay away from it, is that the protagonist is half black. This is just ridiculous. It's 2015. I'm not going to lecture you. I'm 20. I have no right to lecture anyone on how they feel about people, but if the color of someone's skin puts you off about a protagonist in a video game, that's absolutely ridiculous and just plain out immature. Like I said, I respect usually any opinion out there, but when it comes to just discrimination and stuff like that, it's ridiculous. But people are also trying to justify it in a sense where Mafia at the time didn't allow blacks in. And while that does make sense and I totally understand that, people seem to have once again missed what I stated at the beginning of the video, is that Lincoln Clay is a part of the black mob, which fits that time period. And that black mob is going after the Mafia. So it all makes sense. I just don't like that race stuff being tossed around. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because I want to stay away from this type of controversy and just talk. That's all I want to do, is just talk about what's wrong with Mafia 3, clear up a few things, agree with a few things, and just give my overall thoughts on it. Because to be totally honest, I just want to talk about Mafia 3 again. I'm really stoked for that game, and you guys seem to like it just as much as me, so I absolutely am totally happy that I can actually freely and openly speak about another game, kind of like I do with Fallout. But anyways, based off what I read in the comments, that's about all the top concerns I could find in there. So I'd love to hear some more thoughts on this in the comments as well as on Sugar Mom. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active, and I love you all. Peace.